The Megwood family was a kind, hardworking, and devoted household living in Milan, Philippines. Cruz and Lavila, both educators, had two well-mannered and intelligent children. An 18-year-old daughter named Crizel Gwyn and a 16-year-old son named Crizel Louise. Gwyn and Louise enjoyed a peaceful childhood, nurtured by the love and care of their parents. In 2021, Gwyn was studying medicine, while her younger brother Louise aspired to become a lawyer. Though not wealthy, the Magwood family lived a comfortable and happy life, their modest home always resonating with laughter. In July 2021, the Magwood family welcomed a new member, a 17-year-old adopted daughter named Janice. Janice was an orphan with a troubled history. Little was known about her past, but it was evident she had come from poverty. On September 22, 2013, a woman found an 8-year-old girl wandering at a train station. This girl was Janice Sabiel. She claimed to have no parents and could not recall anything about her life before that moment. The woman who discovered Janice was astonished and promptly posted photos of the girl online. It remained unclear whether Janice was lost or abandoned, but despite the woman's efforts to spread the word across various forums, tragically, no one came forward to claim her. Ultimately, Janice was placed in an orphanage. As time passed, she grew up and began working as a domestic helper to make ends meet. In 2020, a couple with 2 young children employed Janice as their nanny. This couple was related to the Magwood family. At a family gathering, Janice met Gwyn for the first time, and the 2 girls quickly became close friends. Janice, Gwyn, and Louise often shared dance videos on TikTok, spending hours in conversation without tiring of each other's company. Out of curiosity, Gwyn and Louise asked Janice why she wasn't in school and instead working. Janice sadly explained that as an orphan, she had no family and had been forced to endure hard labor day and night to survive. She had to wash, cook, and clean while being deprived of an education. Janice's future looked bleak, and she had no idea what lay ahead. Gwyn hugged Janice tightly, feeling deep sympathy for her friend. An idea began to form in Gwyn's mind. After discussing it with Louise, the siblings persuaded their parents to consider adopting Janice. Initially, the Magwoods were hesitant. Their home had no spare bedrooms and their modest teacher salaries were barely enough for their own family. But Gwyn and Louise persisted daily. Gwyn proposed to find a part-time job to help out, while Louise offered to sleep on the living room couch to free up his bedroom for Janice. Finally, the Magwoods were moved, believing perhaps this was God's will. We'll just try a little harder. Things will work out, they thought, unaware of what the future held. In July 2021, the Magwoods officially adopted Janice. They enrolled her in the school where they taught, and Janice changed her name to Janice Magwood. Then the peaceful life of the Magwood family was suddenly disrupted. One day, approximately $200, stored in an old cash box in Mr. and Mrs. Magwood's bedroom, mysteriously vanished. Initially, Janice suggested that a thief might have reached in through the window to take the money, but everyone in the house found this explanation peculiar. They had never experienced such a bizarre theft before. Why would the thief only take the money from the box? Why were there no signs of a break-in or disturbance? Everyone was puzzled, yet no one suspected anything until Gwyn discovered a secret compartment that had been sewn back into Janice's backpack containing the exact amount of stolen money. Janice quickly confessed, admitting she didn't know why she had done it, possibly due to the trauma and constant fear of scarcity she had experienced since childhood, leading her to steal the money. Janice wept and sincerely apologized. Though heartbroken, the Magwoods understood and empathized with Janice. Gwyn and Louise not only defended Janice in front of their parents, but also reassured her that they would do everything in their power to help heal her emotional wounds. The family of 5 spent time together, attending church on weekends. They treated Janice as one of their own and took extra care to ensure she never felt out of place or abandoned. Janice's life seemed to have turned a new page. For the first time, she knew what it felt like to wake up without fear of losing her job or wandering the streets. The Magwood family had given her an education, a home, a family, and a future. However, tragically, this was still not enough for Janice. On December 10, 2021, Cruz and Lavella made breakfast for their children and then went to work. Cruz was a teacher, while Lavella was the principal of the school. That morning was the first time Janice called them Mom and Dad, marking an important milestone for both the adoptive parents and the child. The Magwads left the house joyfully, unaware that the day, which started off wonderfully, would end as the darkest, most terrible day of their lives. At 3 p.m. that day, Janice's Facebook account began posting a series of alarming status updates. She claimed someone was breaking into the house and that she was hiding underneath the bed, which used to be Louise's, but now was hers. Janice begged someone to call the police. A colleague of Cruz saw these updates and hurriedly informed him. Cruz, who was fixing a classroom at the time, received the devastating news. He rushed home, his heart aflame with panic, but he could never have anticipated the horrific scene that awaited him. Cruz arrived home around 3:15 p.m. to a chilling silence. Approaching the main door, he spotted a blood-soaked blanket and a bloodied knife lying in front of the door. With a sinking heart, Cruz shouted for each of his children, but there was no response. He tried to open the door, but it was locked. He then moved to the back of the house, continuously calling out for his children. Cruz said, "I pushed the front door, but it was locked. I called for my boy, Louis's nickname at home, Gwen Janice." The house remained eerily quiet. Cruz went around to the back and entered through the kitchen door. As he walked into the living room, he discovered the bodies of his children lying in pools of blood, scattered with broken glass, a hammer, and a baseball bat. The stench of blood filled the air. Gwen's body was covered in bruises and stab wounds, her body stiff and already attracting ants. Meanwhile, Louise was found tied up and gagged near the front door, his body also drenched in blood. Mr. Magwad, stricken with madness, wailed and clutched the bodies of his children. At that moment, Janice appeared, drenched not in blood, but in water. Cruz Magwad hurried over to ask if Janice was hurt anywhere. He quickly realized Janice did not have a single scratch. Janice explained that she was taking a bath, so she did not hear him calling. She also recounted that 3 men had broken into the house and attacked the 3 siblings. She managed to run to her bedroom, lock the door, and hide under the bed. Janice explained that she took a bath after the attackers had left to calm down. Immediately after, Cruz called Lavella to inform her that their children were no more. Lavella screamed in agony, her legs gave way, and she felt as if her heart had been ripped out of her chest. Lavella blamed herself for not being at home to protect her children. If she had been there, perhaps her children would still be alive. The autopsy revealed Gwen suffered 21 stab wounds, while Louise endured 51 cuts. They had been strangled and beaten with a hammer and baseball bat. Clearly, whoever the murderer was, it seemed they had unleashed their rage and hatred upon the 2 children. In the house, nothing was taken except for Gwen's mobile phone. This further suggested that the murders were motivated by personal reasons rather than robbery. Gwen and Louise were laid to rest on December 20th, 2021. Over 1,000 people attended to pay their respects. Meanwhile, the police continued their investigation. Nothing of value was stolen from the house. All the weapons used in the murders were household items. The hammer belonged to Cruz and was stored in a location known only to Janice and Gwen. The baseball bat was Louise's and had been kept in Louise's old room, which was now Janice's bedroom. This meant that at some point the murderer had to have entered Janice's room, where she claimed to be hiding, to retrieve the baseball bat. Despite their reluctance to suspect their adopted daughter, Janice, the more Mr. and Mrs. Magwad thought about it, the more they found Janice's story to be riddled with inconsistencies. Why would the murderers leave Janice unscathed while brutally attacking and killing Gwen and Louise? When Cruz Magwad arrived home at 3:15 p.m., only 15 minutes after Janice posted her plea for help, yet the bodies of Gwen and Louise were already stiff, and ants had started to swarm over them. The autopsy results showed Gwen and Louise had been killed around 2 p.m. that day. So why did Janice wait so long before seeking help? Why did she have her phone in hand, but chose to post on Facebook instead of calling the police directly? And how could she take a bath after witnessing such a horrific crime? Somehow, Janice also had the time to change her Facebook name from Janice Megwad to JP just before posting her plea for help. Additionally, Janice claimed she had locked her door and hid under the bed. Yet the room was in disarray and there were bloodstains scattered across the floor. If the room had been locked from the beginning, how did the attackers get inside to take the baseball bat? Clearly, there were too many holes in her story. Investigators conducted a thorough search of the house and found an ID card belonging to a 17-year-old young man named Kanedo in Janice's bedroom. Mr. and Mrs. Magwa did not recognize him, but a witness claimed that Kanedo was a local youth who worked at a nearby church. Police also discovered a plastic bag in a stream close to the house, apparently discarded by the killers in hopes it would be carried away. Instead, it got caught on a branch. Inside was a set of Janice's blood-soaked clothes. However, the most shocking evidence was found on the baseball bat used to kill Louise and Gwyn, Janice's fingerprints. After hours of interrogation, Janice broke down and confessed. She admitted to orchestrating the murders of Gwyn and Louise, the very people who had pleaded with their parents to adopt her. She did not act alone. Janice revealed that Kanedo, the 17-year-old church worker who had feelings for her, assisted her in carrying out the brutal plan. She had manipulated Kanedo into helping her. Facebook messages between Janice and Kanedo showed they had been planning the murders for 10 days. In these messages, Janice expressed her extreme hatred for Gwyn and requested Kanedo's help in killing her. Janice told investigators she killed Gwyn out of jealousy, feeling that Mr. and Mrs. Maggard loved Gwyn more than her. However, Janice never explained why she also killed Louise. Many believe Janice wanted to eliminate all the Magwa children to become the sole recipient of their parents' attention and love. Around 2 p.m. on October 10th, Janice unlocked the door to let Kanedo sneak into the house. After Kanedo attacked, Gwyn ran outside, but then returned to save her brother and Janice, unaware that Janice was the actual monster. Janice admitted to personally killing Gwyn. As she was stabbed, Gwyn screamed, "This is just a dream. This is just a dream. I will still become a doctor. I don't know what I did wrong to you, Janice. I love you." After murdering Gwyn and Louise, Janice and Kanedo showered, changed clothes, and placed their bloodied clothes in a plastic bag to dispose of them in the stream. Then, Janice fabricated a cry for help by posting the dark plea on Facebook. It only took 6 days for the authorities to close the case when they arrested Kanedo. They also found Gwyn's mobile phone. Janice was promptly arrested and both were sent to a juvenile detention facility. Janice was known to enjoy horror movies, specifically one about a family that adopts a child who turns out to be a serial killer. Many believe Janice might have drawn inspiration from this film. In a final twist, it turned out that Janice was not an orphan. Throughout her time with the Margaret family, she maintained contact with her biological parents. Janice is the daughter of Michelle Sabiel and Juanito Sabiel, who had been separated for many years. Janice also has 3 other siblings. On December 29, 2021, Michelle and one of her daughters visited Cruz and Lavella. Michelle knelt down to apologize on behalf of her daughter, but Mr. and Mrs. Maggard warmly embraced her, asserting that it was not her fault. They harbored no resentment towards her, nor did they blame her for what had happened. At first, Lavella wanted to forgive Janice due to her deep faith. She believed Janice was a victim of poverty and a lack of education, likely having endured significant trauma in her early years. However, her view shifted upon seeing Janice in court. Janice's gaze was cold and hollow. Despite the dreadful acts she had carried out, she exhibited no remorse, felt no guilt, and never once expressed regret for her actions. It was both shocking and terrifying that a 16-year-old girl, raised by a caring and loving family, could commit such horrific murders. They embraced her as their own, providing everything, yet she took everything from them. In May 2022, Janice was sentenced to 31 years in prison, while Kanedo received a 29-year sentence. The Magwads expressed their appreciation for the community's support following the darkest period of their lives. In August 2022, they opened a restaurant in memory of Gwyn and Louise. The menu showcased the favorite meals of their 2 children. Despite all they had faced, Mr. and Mrs. Magwad still held the strength and love to extend kindness to everyone around them. They found comfort in believing they had raised two wonderful children, loving and kind, even though their lives were tragically ended too soon. May the souls of Gwyn and Louise rest in peace, and may Mr. and Mrs. Magwad's broken and grieving hearts find healing. In September 2013, Magali Vergnet, a seasoned dog trainer, was walking her dogs in a familiar area she had frequented many times before. One of her dogs had an unusual habit. It would often vanish during their walks and come back with bones. Magali had initially considered these to be animal bones. However, on September 13, 2013, the dog came back with more than mere bones. This time, it had bones accompanied by clothing. Shocked by what she had discovered, Magali reached out to the landowner, Frank Doyle. Accompanied by another individual, they returned to the area and followed the dog to a secluded clearing. There, they stumbled upon a horrifying sight, partially chewed and scattered bones everywhere, including parts of a ribcage and a jawbone. They immediately alerted the authorities. The once tranquil forest was swiftly transformed into a bustling crime scene. Forensic experts confirmed the bones were human, and soon thereafter, dental records identified the remains as those of Elaine O'Hara, an Irish childcare worker who had been missing for over a year. Now, please join us as we examine her tragic and premature death in a case considered one of the most shocking crimes in Irish history. Elaine O'Hara was born on St. Patrick's Day, March 17, 1976. Renowned for her kindness and a profound interest in childcare, Elaine embodied resilience and determination. Despite facing bullying during her school years and dealing with mental health issues from her teenage years, she remained committed to making a positive impact in the world. She devoted herself to her role as a childcare assistant and was advancing her education through evening classes with the goal of becoming a Montessori teacher. She showed consistent dedication to her work, despite dealing with other ongoing challenges in her life. Elaine dealt with several physical health issues, including asthma, diabetes, and dyslexia. She also encountered considerable mental health difficulties, which led to frequent hospitalizations for psychiatric treatment. Furthermore, Elaine faced the loss of her mother, a significant hurdle that she confronted with bravery. While many might view Elaine O'Hara's life as filled with hardships, she tackled them daily with grit and determination. On a late summer day, August 22, 2012, Elaine O'Hara vanished without a trace. She left behind her personal belongings, her bag, purse, and cell phone in her apartment, like she was stepping out for just a moment. Her last known location, Shengenek Cemetery, a place she often visited to feel close to her late mother. Her car was found abandoned nearby, and a jogger reported seeing her walking alone towards the sea. Given these circumstances, it seemed like a heartbreaking case of suicide. But there was one detail that didn't add up. Security footage showed Elaine leaving her apartment with a different cell phone. This puzzling piece of evidence left investigators scratching their heads, turning this assumed suicide into a mystery that needed to be solved. The question remained: what happened to Elaine O'Hara? The investigation into Elaine's disappearance was a massive undertaking that spanned 3 police stations and involved thousands of hours of work. The authorities launched an extensive search operation, combing through the park, the cemetery, and the surrounding areas. They also made public appeals for information, hoping that someone might have seen or heard something that could lead them to the lane. Despite these efforts, the investigation hit a dead end. The case got cold, and Elaine's family was left in a state of agonizing uncertainty. The investigators were relentless, though. They pored over CCTV footage, examined numerous digital devices, and followed hundreds of lines of inquiry. In a twist of fate, nearly a year after Elaine O'Hara's disappearance, on September 10, 2013, a startling discovery was made just 3 days before Elaine's body was found. William Fagan and his brothers spotted a bag submerged in the waters of Vartree Reservoir in Wicklow County. Ordinarily, the water's depth would conceal any objects beneath its surface. But that year, an unusually hot spell had caused the water level to recede, revealing hidden secrets from the depths. Inside the bag, they found a disturbing collection of items, handcuffs, clothing, a ball gag, and restraints. The very next day, the brothers handed over these unsettling finds to the authorities, who promptly launched further investigations in the area. Less than a week later, on September 16th, the investigators unearthed more chilling items: additional handcuffs, keys, a mask, an inhaler, and a chain with a ring on it. Among these items, a local retail store loyalty card was found, which was identified as belonging to Elaine O'Hara. In the following days, 2 Nokia mobile phones, phone batteries, and a pair of sunglasses were discovered. The prescription on the sunglasses matched Elaine O'Hara's records at a local Specsavers branch. Could one of these Nokia phones be the very same one seen in the security footage on the day of her disappearance? Did the inhaler belong to Elaine? Were the handcuffs and restraints used on her? Why were there 2 Nokia phones? And did someone remove the batteries on purpose? The mounting evidence pointed overwhelmingly towards foul play. But as the investigators were about to discover, the truth can often be stranger than fiction. The shocking revelations that lay ahead were beyond anything they could have prepared for. It appeared that the roots of Elaine's downfall had been planted long before her demise. In the waning months of 2007, investigators unearthed that O'Hara had ventured into the shadowy corners of the internet, frequenting an adult fetish site known as alt.com. Under the pseudonym Help Me Learn 36F, she had stumbled upon the profile of Architect 72, a mysterious figure linked to a Gmail account named Fetish Boy. As the digital breadcrumbs were followed, a disturbing picture began to form. This seemingly innocuous online encounter had spiraled into a tumultuous sexual relationship steeped in bondage, violence, and knives. The intensity of their relationship held steady throughout 2008, but dwindled soon after. Fetish Boy was identified through his Gmail address as Graham Dwyer, a man who, beneath the veneer of his professional life as an architect, harbored dark secrets. It was revealed that Dwyer had again initiated contact with O'Hara in March 2011 using a prepaid mobile phone and provided her a similar device. These phones, both Nokia models, were the ones recovered near the Vartry Reservoir, and despite the passage of time and exposure to the elements, they were miraculously still operational. The phones bore names that reflected the dynamics of their relationship. Dwyer's phone was named Master, while O'Hara's was labeled Slave. But before we delve deeper into their relationship, it is crucial to understand the man behind this master moniker. Who exactly is Graham Dwyer? In the quiet, affluent suburb of Foxrock, South Dublin, lived a man who on the surface embodied the very essence of success and respectability. Graham Dwyer, a native of Bandon, was a well-regarded architect working with a prestigious firm on Dublin's Baggot Street. He had a keen eye for design, having helped to redevelop and renovate a cottage with his wife. His colleagues at the architectural firm admired his professional acumen. His hobbies included mountain biking and buying cars, his favorite being a Porsche 911. Outwardly, he was a successful professional and family man. He was a father to 3 children, 2 with Gemma and 1 from a previous relationship. His family life painted a picture of normalcy. However, it turns out he also fantasized about stabbing women during sexual intercourse. This was the unsettling truth of Graham Dwyer, a man whose sinister secret led him to commit a crime that shook a nation. From the recovery of the operational Nokia phones emerged a treasure trove of evidence. Enclosed within were hundreds of text messages exchanged between master and slave. Identities later attributed to Graham Dwyer and Elaine O'Hara. Elaine, a woman grappling with her own inner demons, was drawn into the world of BDSM due to her early childhood traumas. It served as a means for her to feel desired and forge a connection with someone who could offer love and acceptance. Regrettably, her journey led her to an extreme adult website and to a monster who sought to exploit her for his own perverse fantasies. Their relationship was characterized by a disturbing power dynamic. Graham, demanding to be addressed as Sir, insisted on Elaine's absolute obedience, even resorting to death threats. Despite Elaine's objections to blood, Graham's fixation on blood and stabbing became a recurring theme in their exchanges. Trapped in this sinister world, Elaine found herself unable to escape from Graham's fantasies. She confided her fears to her friend, Rosetta. Rosetta implored Elaine to report Graham to the authorities. However, Elaine declined, stating she did not want to cause any distress to Graham's wife and children by unveiling his dark secret. October 17, 2013. Less than 5 weeks after Elaine O'Hara's remains were found in the Dublin Mountains, an unexpected spectacle unfolded in the quiet neighborhood of Foxrock, Dublin. Graham Dwyer, an unassuming architect, was arrested at his home. The media, tipped off about the arrest, swarmed the scene, their cameras capturing every moment of the shocking event. Dwyer, taken into custody in connection with the murder of Elaine O'Hara, was thrust into the national spotlight. The media frenzy intensified as details of the case began to emerge. Reporters and camera crews camped outside Dwyer's home, their presence a constant reminder of the unfolding drama. In the aftermath of the arrest, the media continued to play a pivotal role. Information about the case was often leaked to the press, move that was later criticized by the investigators. During the trial, the prosecution painted a disturbing picture of a man who used his power and manipulation to control his victim. Dwyer sent O'Hara a series of texts. He warned her of a big punishment for attempting suicide without him, a punishment that involved getting stabbed. He instructed her to leave her iPhone at home, park her car at a certain location, cross a railway bridge, and wait by the shore. In one exchange, he texted Elaine, "I preferred it when you let me put my knife in you. Killing is my new goal, and I can and will have it all." These chilling words reveal a man who saw his violent desires as a goal to be achieved. A man who believed he could take whatever he wanted without consequence. On the other side, we have Elaine O'Hara, a woman struggling with her mental health, caught in the web of Dwyer's manipulation, unable to say no and just needing someone to confide in. One can only imagine the fear and confusion she must have felt when reading his messages. Yet, in her vulnerable state, she was drawn into Dwyer's dark world, unable to escape his control. The prosecution stated that he carried out the act on a mountain and then proceeded with his cover-up strategy, while the defense argued that the texts and documents found on Dwyer's hard drive were nothing more than fantasy. Despite the defense's arguments, the jury found Dwyer guilty. He was sentenced to life in prison. The trial judge stated that Dwyer, a married father, had preyed on Ms. O'Hara to satisfy perverse and debauched desires. The moment the jury announced the guilty verdict, the courtroom fell into a hushed silence. The impact of the words hung heavy in the air. Elaine's family members were present in the courtroom. The relief and sorrow were evident on their faces. Tears welled up in their eyes as they embraced each other, a silent testament to their long ordeal. The reality of the verdict brought a sense of closure, yet the pain of their loss remained. On the other side, Dwyer's family had to grapple with the monstrous actions of a family member. His wife, Gemma, released a statement noting the guilty verdict and appealing for her family's privacy to be respected. She expressed her family's thoughts and condolences for the O'Hara family. Behind bars, Dwyer was left to reflect on the consequences of his actions. A once respected architect, he had fallen from grace in the most horrific way possible. His perverse desires had not only led to the loss of an innocent life, but also destroy his own. Unwilling to accept his fate, Dwyer appealed his conviction on numerous grounds. Among them was the admissibility of mobile phone data evidence. However, the Court of Appeal dismissed his appeal on all grounds. The evidence against him was overwhelming, and his attempts to discredit it to date of this documentary have been unsuccessful. The impact of the trial was not limited to Dwyer and Elaine. Their families were thrown into a whirlwind of shock and grief. Elaine's family had to grapple with the loss of a loved one in such a horrific manner, while Dwyer's family had to come to terms with the monstrous actions of a family member. In the wake of the trial, the community rallied together, their collective sorrow, forging a bond of empathy and understanding. The case sparked a broader conversation about online safety and protecting our vulnerable. As we reflect on the tragic case of Elaine O'Hara, there are several lessons to be learned. The first is the importance of vigilance in our online interactions. The internet, while a powerful tool for connection, can also be a platform for those with malicious intent. It is crucial to be aware of the potential dangers and to take steps to protect ourselves. The second lesson is the importance of mental health awareness. Elaine's struggles with mental health played a significant role in her vulnerability to Dwyer's manipulation. Greater awareness and understanding of mental health issues, coupled with improved support systems, are essential for aiding those in need. This case also highlights the relentless dedication of law enforcement officers who work tirelessly to ensure justice is served. The investigators in Elaine's case pursued every lead, regardless of its size, leading to Dwyer's conviction. As we move forward, let us honor Elaine O'Hara's memory by being more compassionate, vigilant, and supportive of one another. In the midst of darkness, let us all aim to be a beacon of light. Our story begins with Cecilia Haddad, a dynamic and ambitious woman from the vibrant and lively landscapes of Brazil. Cecilia was far from ordinary. She embodied success, intelligence, and warmth in every facet of her life. Fluent in English, Spanish, and Portuguese, her linguistic abilities reflected her intellectual brilliance. Her academic path took her to the esteemed Pontifical Catholic University in Rio de Janeiro, where she studied engineering. It was at this university that she met Felipe Torres, another engineering student who would eventually become her husband. In 2007, Cecilia and Felipe made a significant decision. They moved to Australia, the land of opportunities and new beginnings. They settled in Perth, Western Australia, where they lived together for nearly a decade. However, due to ongoing marital issues, they decided to separate. Even amidst their personal challenges, Cecilia continued to excel in her professional life. She worked as a mining executive and held a role with the mining giant BHP, a testament to her enduring skills and expertise in the industry. Cecilia was not just defined by her professional success. She was a woman of substance, known for her warm-hearted nature and loyalty. Friends described her as intelligent and generous, always ready to lend a helping hand. She loved her Dalmatian, enjoyed fishing, and cherished spending time with friends. Her love for her community was evident in her volunteer work. She worked as a fundraiser for Food Bank Cafe and served as a support worker for the Disability Service, higher up in Sydney. Despite her professional triumphs, Cecilia was a woman who cherished her personal relationships above all else. She was a woman who loved and was loved in return. Yet, as we will soon uncover, love can sometimes lead us down unexpected paths. As we delve deeper into Cecilia's life, we will unravel the series of events that culminated in her tragic end. Life, in its unpredictable nature, has a way of bringing people together under the most unexpected circumstances. In Cecilia Haddad's life, this person was none other than Mario Santoro. Their paths crossed many years ago in Rio, where they were colleagues. Little did they know that years later their initial acquaintance would one day evolve into a personal relationship, one that would leave an indelible mark on their lives. Santoro, a Brazilian national like Cecilia, moved to Sydney in 2016. While little has been said about the details of their early relationship, one can imagine Cecilia and Mario, both immigrants, found solace in their shared culture and experiences, a comforting familiarity in a foreign land. Cecilia, perhaps, saw in Mario a reflection of her journey. Like her, he had been married before and was now standing on the precipice of a new chapter in his life. But as the saying goes, all that glitters is not gold. Beneath the surface of their seemingly perfect relationship, tensions were brewing. As the days turned into months, the once blossoming relationship between Cecilia and Santoro began to wilt. The strain of being the sole earner in the relationship was taking a toll on Cecilia. She grew tired of Santoro living off her, and she was covering all expenses. This included an all-expenses-paid trip to Sydney for Santoro's parents and daughters from a previous marriage. According to Hadid's friends, Santoro had told Cecilia that he had a high-paying job starting soon, but it seems to never have come to fruition. Haddad's friends told her they suspected he was stringing her along throughout their relationship. After a year of dating, she decided it was time to end their relationship. However, Santoro refused to accept the end of their relationship and initially refused to move out of her apartment. His initial refusal marked the beginning of a dark phase in Cecilia's life. Santoro's obsession with Cecilia took a dangerous turn. He began to stalk and harass her, leading to an incident where he forced himself into her apartment. Fearing for her safety, Cecilia barricaded herself in her bedroom, while Santoro pounded on the door. Haunted by fear and paranoia, Cecilia started staying at a friend's place. She even took a trip to Perth, hoping the distance would keep her safe. Later, it was discovered Santoro had secretly cut the keys to her apartment and would visit her apartment when she was not there. It's reported she often arrived home and noticed his hair and lingering body odor. Cecilia was terrified and often resorted to showering in the dark out of fear that Santoro would notice she was home. Her friends pleaded with her to call the police. However, Cecilia did not want to cause any trouble for Santoro that would lead him to be deported from Australia. All she wanted was for him to leave her alone. Little did she know this indecision would lead to her own demise. The next day, on April 29th, a gruesome scene unfolded on the Lane Cove River in Sydney. A woman's body was found floating face down in the water by a couple who were kayaking. She was fully clothed and had weights in her pockets, suggesting that someone had tried to sink her body in the river. The raw emotion in the kayaker's voice is evident from the police recording. Upon arriving at the scene, the body was confirmed as none other than Cecilia Haddad, and her cause of death was later determined to be strangulation. Given the missing persons report and what was found on the scene, this case was immediately classified as a homicide. The death of Cecilia Haddad sent shock waves throughout the community. As the police began their investigation, all signs pointed towards one prime suspect, Mario Santoro. Cell phone tracking placed Santoro at Haddad's apartment and by the river where her body was later found. Sand and vegetation from that same area were also found in the victim's car. CCTV footage showed Santoro driving near the river, suggesting he might have been looking for a location to dispose of the body. The police were able to correlate this footage with earlier cell phone pings and identified Cecilia's red Fiat in the video. This car was later found at the West Ryde train station. Based on the evidence, it is estimated that Santoro disposed of Cecilia's body around 7 p.m. on April 28th, approximately 9 hours after her death. After disposing of Cecilia's body, Santoro returned home approximately 20 minutes later. CCTV cameras outside his residence captured him entering his home, leaving wet footprints behind. The same cameras recorded him taking clothes to an outdoor washing machine. In the aftermath of the murder, Santoro unlocked Cecilia's phone using her finger. He then sent misleading messages to her friends and family, falsely stating that she was heading to the Blue Mountains and had left her car at a local train station. These actions were presumably intended to delay the discovery of her murder and buy him some time. The next morning, Santoro took an Uber to the airport. He was catching a flight to Brazil. On the way to the airport, he threw her car keys out the window, a fact that was recanted by the Uber driver when interviewed by the police. Miraculously, the keys were later recovered by the police. Santoro was living under the false pretense of safety. He had fled Australia, leaving behind a trail of devastation. But little did he know the wheels of justice were turning. Although all the evidence was pointing towards Mario Santoro as the suspect, there was a problem. Brazil does not allow extradition of its citizens to Australia. However, working with Australian authorities, Brazilian law enforcement launched a manhunt for Santoro. In July 2018, just a few months after Cecilia's murder, Santoro was arrested in Botafogo, a neighborhood in the south zone of Rio de Janeiro. He had been hiding at a relative's house. Santoro was charged with femicide for allegedly choking Ms. Hada to death. The news of his arrest brought a glimmer of hope to Cecily's friends and family. It was a small step towards justice, but the journey was far from over. 5 years after the tragic events that took Cecilia had its life, the man at the center of it all, Mario Santoro, finally confessed. Santoro confessed to entering Cecilia's apartment without her permission. He claims he simply could not accept the fact that she was distancing herself from him. In a chilling admission, he admitted they had an argument, and in a fit of rage he wanted to shut her up. So he grabbed her neck and pressed very strongly until she fell limp into his arms. He said, quote, "She fell limp in my arms. I don't remember if she hit her head on the floor. I picked her up and put her on the sofa. She wouldn't wake up." End quote. He then broke down in tears in the courtroom. In June 2023, Santoro was sentenced to 27 years in prison by a federal court in Rio de Janeiro after he confessed to the murder of Haddad. He was convicted of aggravated homicide, asphyxiation, femicide, and concealment of a corpse. He cried while admitting his crime, but the judge said he only confessed after extensive evidence was produced against him. In the tragic case of Cecilia Haddad, we are reminded of the profound complexities of human nature. This case underscores the importance of trust, not only in others but also in our own instincts and judgments. It is a stark reminder that while human nature can be capable of love and kindness, it can also harbor darkness and violence. As we close this chapter, let us remember Cecilia not for the tragedy that ended her life, but for the vibrant life she lived. Her story stands as a poignant reminder to trust our instincts and prioritize personal safety. What are your reflections on this case? Priya Kapoor was born and grew up in a small village in Uttar Pradesh, India. From a young age, she has been notable for her striking appearance and radiant smile, drawing the admiration of those around her. Priya's family is middle class, with parents who are diligent and always striving to provide the best for their children. Despite not being wealthy, Priya was consistently encouraged to follow her dreams and pursue learning. Early on, Priya developed a keen interest in theater and fashion. She frequently took part in small school performances and quickly garnered attention from both teachers and peers. Compliments came not only from those she knew, but also from strangers she encountered in the market or on the street. Her grace and style earned her widespread admiration. As she entered her teenage years, Priya began to recognize her potential in beauty pageants. Despite living in a rural area, she watched beauty pageants on television and dreamed of one day standing on the big stage with a glittering crown on her head. With the support of her family and friends, Priya began to enter small local beauty pageants and quickly achieved her first successes. These victories not only strengthened her confidence, but also opened up new opportunities for her. After completing her high school education, Priya decided to enroll in a prestigious college in Delhi, where she could further pursue her dream of being in the fashion and entertainment industry. There, she quickly became friends with people who shared her passion and began participating in many extracurricular activities, including modeling for small fashion labels. Priya's presence at fashion events began to attract the attention of model scouts and producers. In the summer of 2018, Priya Kapoor met Rohan Mehta when they were both students at a university in Delhi. Priya, with her confidence and striking looks, attracted a lot of attention, but it was Rohan who really captured her heart. Rohan was an intelligent, thoughtful, and gentle guy. He was studying engineering, known for his dedication to studies and passion for research. They met at an art and culture workshop where Priya modeled for a school art project. From their first conversations, Priya and Rohan felt a special connection. They shared many common interests from music, movies to social issues. Rohan was drawn to Priya's intelligence and enthusiasm, while she admired his warmth and care. Their relationship gradually became closer as they often went out and participated in extracurricular activities together. By early 2019, Priya and Rohan officially became a couple. Their relationship is always full of love and support for each other. Rohan is the ideal boyfriend, always listening and respecting Priya's decisions. When Priya decided to pursue her dream of participating in beauty pageants, Rohan not only supported her but also became her biggest source of encouragement. He always encouraged her to pursue her passion and believed in her abilities. During the preparation for the Miss India National Pageant, Rohan was always by Priya's side. He helped her practice public speaking skills, accompanied her in gym sessions, and often encouraged her whenever she felt tired or stressed. Rohan is not only a lover but also a great companion, always ready to support her in every situation. Rohan's support and love helped Priya become much more confident when entering the contest. He always reminded her that no matter what the outcome, he would always be proud of her. This created a solid foundation for Priya, giving her the confidence to shine on stage and show her best qualities. In her quest to win the title of Miss India, Priya Kapoor faced many challenges and temptations. Despite her outstanding beauty and brains, the pressure of fierce competition, and the desire for quick success led her to resort to unscrupulous means to ensure her victory. The pageant process began with hundreds of contestants from all over the country. Priya, with her thorough preparation and experience from smaller pageants, quickly caught the eye of the organizers and judges. However, the increasingly fierce competition and strict standards made her nervous about her chances of winning. During the pre-contest period, Priya was introduced to Raj Singh, a wealthy and well-connected businessman by an acquaintance in the entertainment industry. Raj, who had been a sponsor of many major events, including beauty pageants, quickly recognized Priya's potential and charisma. Through private meetings, Raj offered to help Priya in the competition by using his connections to influence the outcome. Initially, Priya was hesitant about this offer. She knew that using the back door to achieve the title would be unfair and could affect her reputation if discovered. However, under the pressure of competition and the desire to be famous, she accepted Raj's help. Raj promised to use his influence to help her get into the top contestants and ensure that she would receive preferential treatment in the important rounds. However, this help did not come for free. Raj demanded that Priya fulfill his personal desires, including becoming his mistress. To ensure his continued support and avoid revealing her secret, Priya agreed to sleep with Raj and have an intimate relationship with him. The private meetings at luxury hotels became more frequent, and each time, Raj not only ensured Priya's progress in the competition, but also tightened his hold over her. Priya, despite being aware of her dependence and moral vulnerability, continued to endure these pressures. She feared that if she refused or protested, not only her future in the entertainment industry, but also her career would be in danger. The dependence on Raj and the benefits of this relationship caused Priya to continue down the wrong path despite her deep feelings of guilt and insecurity. The meetings with Raj became a mental burden, but Priya could not turn back. She is caught in a spiral of lies and power where every decision can lead to unpredictable consequences. Compromising with Raj becomes an indispensable part of Priya's journey to become a beauty queen, and she pays the price with her freedom and self-respect. With Raj's support, Priya began to notice obvious favors. She was given priority in interviews and photo shoots and was chosen as the face of many promotional activities of the contest. The judges and sponsors also paid special attention to her, making her stand out from the other contestants. In the official rounds, Priya not only shone with her beauty and talent, but also scored higher thanks to Raj's intervention. The judges, influenced by Raj's connections and persuasion, rated her higher than her actual ability. Priya felt insecure and conflicted, but the aura of the crown and the promise of a bright future kept her going. Finally, in March 2020, Priya won the title of Miss India. She became the center of attention, praised and admired by the public. However, this victory was not entirely due to her own ability, but had the interference of behind-the-scenes relationships. This made Priya feel a sense of emptiness and anxiety, but she did not dare to reveal the truth for fear of losing everything she had achieved. Despite achieving the crown in a dishonest way, Priya maintained a perfect cover in front of the public, continued to participate in charity activities, and built a positive image. She always tried to hide what happened, afraid that if the truth was exposed. After Priya won the Miss National pageant, her boyfriend, Rohan Mehta, was extremely happy and proud. He threw a small private party to celebrate Priya's success. During the party, Rohan hugged Priya, praising her efforts and talent. They shared their joy and pride together, enjoying the sweet moments of victory. Rohan always showed his support and love, making Priya feel loved and appreciated. After winning the Miss National crown, Priya Kapoor quickly entered the stage of building her public image. She started by participating in charity activities, partly to strengthen her image as a benevolent beauty and partly to take advantage of her newfound fame. Priya pays special attention to helping poor children, one of the social issues of concern in India. She often appears at social protection centers, participating in activities such as giving gifts, teaching, and organizing entertainment programs for disadvantaged children. These images were recorded by the media, creating an image of a beauty queen who is not only beautiful, but also compassionate. Along with her charity work, Priya also began to receive many advertising invitations from major brands. Her popularity and beauty quickly attracted attention from fashion, cosmetics, and consumer product brands. Priya signed advertising contracts with high-end brands, appeared on magazine covers, and participated in product promotion campaigns. Every time she appeared, she always impressed with her elegant style and confident demeanor, contributing to enhancing brand value. These activities not only helped Priya increase her fame, but also brought in a significant income. She became a familiar face in the media, consolidating her position in the entertainment and commercial world. Despite her great success after winning the crown and becoming the face of many famous brands, Priya Kapoor still felt the pressure to maintain the lavish lifestyle she had become accustomed to. Charity and advertising activities were not enough to meet the increasing financial demands, especially with the expectations of a lavish life among the upper class. This feeling became stronger when Priya realized that she needed to make the most of her time and opportunities while at the peak of her career. Under the influence and invitation of her new connections in the upper class, Priya was gradually drawn into a secret world of lavish parties and secret relationships. Rich businessmen and politicians, attracted by her beauty and fame, began to approach Priya with attractive offers. They not only craved to meet her, but were also willing to pay huge sums of money for private appointments. The lure of large sums of money and the pressure of maintaining an image led Priya to embark on a career in high-class prostitution. She began attending private parties where she met and entertained wealthy men. Each time she met, and after a night of serving and having intimate relationships with the big men, Priya received tens of $1,000 of dollars, which helped her maintain a lavish lifestyle and solve financial problems. However, this also meant that she was increasingly involved in dangerous and complicated relationships. Priya kept these activities secret, continuing to maintain the cover of a benevolent and positive beauty queen in front of the public. She still appeared in charity events and advertisements, but her double life became increasingly difficult to control. Feelings of guilt and anxiety about being discovered always haunted her, but the lure of money and fame prevented her from giving up the path she had chosen. On the last night of November 2021, Raj, who helped her win the beauty pageant, asked Priya to come to the luxury hotel where he was staying. However, this time it was not a date as a paying customer like the previous rich bosses, but a request that Priya serve him for free. Raj, taking advantage of his power and influence, threatened to make public information about Priya's dark side if she refused. He knew full well that if the secrets about Priya's involvement in high-class prostitution and her backdoor success were revealed, her reputation and career would be completely ruined. Priya felt cornered. She knew that Raj's threats were not unfounded, and he had the power to make them come true. The tension comes to a head as Priya tries to negotiate and refuse Raj's demands, as Raj begins to ask Priya to do things she is uncomfortable with and that are out of bounds. She wants to retain some of her dignity, but at the same time fears the consequences if Raj actually carries out his threats. In the hotel room, their conversation became tense and violent. Raj, in anger at being rejected, began to use force himself on Priya. He kept threatening and insulting her, causing Priya to panic even more. When Priya firmly refused and tried to leave the room, Raj lost control. In a fit of rage, he pushed Priya towards the balcony. Cornered with no way out, Priya tried to resist, but Raj used his strength to push her over the railing. Priya fell from the 20th floor of the hotel to the ground, dying on the spot. This horrifying incident shocked the witnesses and hotel staff. When the police and ambulance arrived at the scene, they found Priya's lifeless body. Raj Singh, realizing the seriousness of the situation, tried to stage a fake scene to mislead the investigation, creating a story that Priya committed suicide due to the pressure of life. However, Raj's defense was quickly dismissed when the police collected evidence from security cameras and witness statements. The images from the cameras showed no signs that Priya had any intention of committing suicide when she entered the room with Raj. The police also discovered the tension in the relationship between Priya and Raj and the threats she had suffered. Raj Singh denied all charges after his arrest, but the evidence against him was overwhelming. Police also found several documents that showed Raj's influence on the pageant process and text messages between her and him about helping Priya win the title. During the investigation into Priya Kapoor's death, the police uncovered many dark secrets about her double life, especially the underground activity she was involved in. These findings not only helped clarify the cause of Priya's death, but also exposed a complex web of relationships and illicit behavior. Book text messages and phone calls, the police realized that Priya was not only meeting Raj, but also many other people in the high society. These people included businessmen, politicians, and influential figures who were willing to pay large sums of money for Priya's presence at parties or private meetings. This confirmed that Priya was not just a beauty queen with a beautiful public image, but was also involved in high-end prostitution, earning huge amounts of money from these meetings. Through checking financial transactions, the police found large transfers into Priya's accounts from unknown sources. These funds came from wealthy clients, confirming that she had been paid for the services she provided. The police also discovered other payments, including lavish trips, luxury shopping, and other personal expenses that Priya had spent with the money earned from this underground activity. Ultimately, these revelations revealed the double life of Priya Kapoor. Behind the bright and positive image of a beauty queen was a woman who lived a double life in two different worlds. Priya Kapoor's family and boyfriend were devastated to learn of her death and the dark secrets she had hidden. Priya's boyfriend, Rohan Mehta, was shocked and helpless when he realized that she had done such unthinkable things. The case of Priya Kapoor's death was quickly brought to trial. Raj Singh, who faced a murder charge, attempted to claim that Priya's death was accidental. Nevertheless, the evidence and witness testimonies clearly demonstrated that Raj had deliberately pushed Priya off the balcony after she rejected his demands. Throughout the trial, Raj showed no remorse and continued to deny his culpability. However, the court was not swayed and sentenced Raj Singh to life imprisonment for his crime. This verdict has delivered a measure of justice for Priya and her family, concluding a case marked by deep pain and tragedy. Considering the lives of beauty queens, do you think there are parallels within society? Does Priya Kapoor's story prompt you to reconsider what truly happens behind the scenes? We invite you to share your reflections with us. In the tranquil town of Riverwood, Vermont, renowned for its picturesque landscapes and tight-knit community where everyone is familiar with one another, a tragic tale begins with two seemingly ideal couples. Yet, beneath the surface of cheerful smiles and cozy gatherings lie concealed tensions and dark secrets. David and Sarah Mitchell reside in an exquisite home surrounded by a meticulously cared-for garden. David, 35, is a software engineer celebrated for his successful career and professional demeanor. He is esteemed by his colleagues not just for his skill but also for his kind and dedicated nature. As a model husband, David always tries to maintain family happiness and build a stable life. He enjoys spending his free time walking with his wife, tending to his flower garden, and participating in community activities. Sarah, 33, is a dedicated primary school teacher. She is loved by students and parents for her enthusiasm and love for her job. For Sarah, family is always the top priority. She takes good care of the house, always creating a warm and loving atmosphere. Sarah is a gentle woman, always knows how to listen and share, making David's life peaceful and happy. John and Emily Carter moved to Riverwood about 5 years ago. They quickly integrated themselves into the community and became close friends with the Mitchell family. John, 37, is a successful and respected physician in the community. He is an introvert, but very caring and loving towards his wife. John is actively involved in charity work and is a trusted colleague. He strives to maintain a balance between work and family, allowing his wife to pursue her passion for art. Emily, 32, is a talented and charming photographer. She has the ability to attract people with her beauty and enthusiasm for her work. Emily regularly organizes art exhibitions, where she shares her emotional and delicate photos. She is loved by everyone, not only for her talent, but also for her friendly and approachable personality. Emily and John's life seems perfect, but everything begins to change when they meet the Mitchell family. David and John met through a charity event at the hospital where John worked. John's enthusiasm and outgoing personality caught David's attention. They quickly became friends and often met after work. Through these meetings, they discovered many things in common and similar interests. It was during one such meeting that John invited David and Sarah to a party at his house to meet and socialize. The Carter party was an opportunity for the two couples to meet and get to know each other. John and Emily's home was beautifully decorated with Emily's artwork hanging everywhere. Sarah, who had a special interest in art, was immediately drawn to Emily's work. The two women quickly found common interests and began talking about art, education, and family life. David and John, meanwhile, discussed work and the projects they were working on. David, with his friendly and approachable personality, quickly made a good impression on John. The two discovered many common interests, such as sports, travel, and technology. Their conversation lasted late into the night when both realized they had found a kindred spirit. When the party ended, David and Sarah returned home feeling satisfied and happy. They felt very lucky to have met interesting new friends like John and Emily. From then on, the two couples began to meet regularly, organize weekend barbecues, and participate in outdoor activities together. Their relationship became closer and closer. The weekend barbecues at Mitchell or Carter's house were always full of laughter and joy. David and John often prepared food together while Sarah and Emily talked and shared about life. Picnics, walks in the park, and evenings, watching movies together helped them build a close and lasting friendship. One warm summer evening, the four of them gathered at the Mitchell house for an intimate dinner party. The wine flowed, and the conversation was lively. The table was laden with delicious food prepared by Sarah and Emily. The group felt comfortable and open, sharing their joys and sorrows in life. As the party progressed, the conversation began to turn to more sensitive topics. David, with his open and curious personality, brought up the idea of trying a new lifestyle wife swapping. At first, Sarah, John, and Emily were surprised and a little shy. However, with David's persuasion and a little influence from the wine, they began to seriously consider the idea. David explained that wife swapping was not only a way to experiment with new sensations, but also to strengthen their existing relationship. He stressed that everything would be done voluntarily and consensually with clear rules to ensure that no one would get hurt. After a thorough discussion, the group decided to try the idea out just once to see if it could bring newness and excitement to their marriage. They agreed that everything would be kept secret between the four of them, and no one would be allowed to reveal anything. The first exchange evening took place at the Carter house, a beautiful and cozy house decorated with artistic photos taken by Emily herself. The evening atmosphere was special, not only because of the excitement and nervousness, but also because of the complicated and mixed emotions of all four participants. As the night fell, David, Sarah, John, and Emily had a sumptuous dinner together. The dining table was beautifully decorated with flickering candles and fresh flowers, creating a romantic and expectant atmosphere. They raised their glasses of wine together, toasting to their bond and friendship, and also to start a new chapter in their relationship. After the meal, they sat around chatting, laughing, and sharing stories of everyday life. However, behind the smiles and cheerful words, everyone felt a little nervous and anxious. This was the first time they had tried something so new and bold. Despite careful discussion of rules and boundaries, no one can predict how emotions will actually play out. Finally, when it was time to switch partners, all four of them got up and prepared for a different night. David and Emily headed towards John and Emily's bedroom, while Sarah and John headed towards the spare bedroom that was reserved for guests. It was strange and a bit nerve-wracking at first. However, curiosity and excitement helped them overcome their initial awkwardness. David and Emily started talking in John and Emily's bedroom. They carefully probed each other's feelings and gradually felt more comfortable. David couldn't help but feel Emily's charm, and this made him feel a new excitement. Emily, meanwhile, also felt excited talking to David. The two gradually got closer, and their connection became stronger. In the next room, Sarah and John also experienced similar feelings. Sarah, who was always devoted and loving, found joy in being close to John. John, with his gentle and caring personality, made Sarah feel safe and loved. They shared intimate moments together, and the initial feelings of anxiety gradually disappeared. After the evening, the four of them sat down and shared their feelings. They discussed what had happened and realized that everything had gone more smoothly than they had imagined. The initial anxiety had disappeared, replaced by a sense of excitement and newness. They felt that this arrangement had really brought excitement and freshness to their married life. David, with a twinkle in his eye, shared that he had enjoyed being close to Emily and that the experience had deepened the bond between him and Sarah. Sarah agreed, saying that she had felt very comfortable with John and that this arrangement had brought a freshness to their lives. John and Emily shared similar feelings. John felt that the partner swap had helped him understand Sarah better and created a new connection. Emily, with a beaming smile, said that she felt very happy and that it had made her feel more appreciated and loved. They all agreed that they would continue to experiment a few more times to see if this could become a regular part of their lives. They felt that the practice of wife swapping was not only exciting, but also helped strengthen their existing relationship. Ultimately, the evening ended in satisfaction and happiness. All four felt that they had opened a new door for their relationship. They believed that this arrangement, if done respectfully and consensually, could bring many benefits to their marriage. However, none of them could have predicted the potential consequences of this arrangement. David's obsession with Emily would lead to unexpected events, and their lives would never be the same again. That first night, though exciting and new, laid the foundation for a tragedy that would shake the entire Riverwood community. Over time, wife swapping became an integral part of the relationship between the two couples. They held regular swapping nights, complete with picnics and intimate parties. All felt their lives had become more exciting and new. However, beneath the surface of that joy and happiness, complicated feelings began to arise. David gradually became obsessed with Emily. He began to look for opportunities to see her more often, not only in exchange sessions, but also in everyday life. David even volunteered to help Emily with her personal tasks, creating situations so that he could be with her more. Sarah noticed a change in David's behavior. At first, she thought it was just a new interest in this deal, but gradually, she realized that David was becoming too attentive to Emily. David's conversations often mentioned Emily, and his eyes always followed her unnaturally. Sarah felt worried, but did not want to ruin the good friendship between the two families. Emily also felt special attention from David. At first, she felt happy and admired, but as time went on, the attention became excessive and made her uncomfortable. She tried to keep her distance from David and shared her worries with John. However, John, who was introverted and had little attention to small details, did not realize the seriousness of the problem. David's obsession with Emily became more and more serious. He began to secretly follow her, showing up at places she frequented, such as the yoga studio or her favorite coffee shop. David even tried to interfere in Emily's personal life, which made her feel harassed and scared. Sarah, out of loyalty and love for her husband, decided to confront David about the issue. She hoped that by talking frankly, she could help him realize the seriousness of his behavior and get things back to normal. However, David denied everything and thought that Sarah was being unreasonably jealous. The relationship between the two couples began to crack. The meetings were no longer as fun as before, and the atmosphere became tense and suffocating. Emily decided to end the wife-swapping arrangement to protect her family's happiness. She hoped that this would help things get back to normal and dispel David's obsession. One evening, while John was away on business, David showed up at Emily's house unannounced. In a fit of rage and desperation, he confessed his strong feelings and offered to start over with her. Emily, feeling scared and desperate, firmly refused and asked David to leave. However, David, feeling all hope was gone, became furious. He could not accept the fact that Emily did not want him. In a fit of rage and loss of control, he rushed forward and raped Emily. Emily resisted fiercely, but her strength was not enough to push David away. After the brutal rape, David felt an uncontrollable rage and frustration. He looked at Emily, who was trying to regain her composure and call for help. In a moment of desperation, David rushed towards the kitchen where he knew there was a knife. Emily, realizing the danger, tried to run away, but could not make it. Emily screamed for help, but David was too fast. He rushed forward and stabbed her in the chest, causing her to collapse on the spot. Blood was pouring onto the floor, and in her final moments, Emily's eyes were filled with fear and pain. David returned home and confessed to Sarah what he had done. Sarah, shocked and heartbroken, decided to help her husband cover up the crime. They destroyed evidence and created a false witness to avoid police suspicion. However, Detective Jane Collins' careful investigation uncovered inconsistencies in their statements. Eventually, David and Sarah were arrested and brought to trial. David was charged with first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. Sarah was sentenced to 5 years in prison for her role in covering up the crime. This tragic case not only shook the Riverwood community, but also served as a reminder of the dangers of crossing ethical boundaries in relationships. The tragic death of Emily Carter not only shakes the peaceful town of Riverwood, but also serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of crossing the moral line in relationships. From a seemingly new wife-swapping arrangement, David Mitchell spirals into obsession and hysteria, leading to unforgivable actions. The case leaves irreparable consequences for all involved. John Carter, Emily's devoted husband, must confront the anguish of losing his wife and the shocking reality surrounding her death. Sarah Mitchell, driven by misplaced loyalty, must also face consequences for her role in concealing her husband's crimes. The once serene and tight-knit community of Riverwood is now mired in sorrow and turmoil. Rumors and a pervasive sense of insecurity spread, irreversibly altering the lives of its residents. This case underscores the perils of letting emotions override ethical boundaries in relationships. While love, loyalty, and trust are crucial for maintaining a healthy relationship, they must be grounded in mutual respect and self-control. Thanks for diving into another mystery with us. If you enjoyed unraveling the clues and chasing the truth, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. Your support helps us bring you more thrilling cases and deep dives into the unknown.